Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Your Head in the Cloud. I am joined today by one of my very good friends, Camilo.
Hello, Sophia. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for being here today.
No, thank you for having me.
It's long overdue. I really wanted you to come onto this live stream. And you are in Finland right now, right?
Yeah, I'm in Finland right now, in the north of the world. Yeah.
Because I'm in Berlin, you're in Finland, we're on the UK stream. We're getting more and more international on this live stream. So for everyone watching and that is on the Behance stream, so if you're on YouTube, go over to our Behance. Please let me know where you're watching from, because we really want to know how international is this community. And what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're going to talk about a bit, the title of this presentation is Data Visualization.
Yes.
But we're going to talk a bit about the process behind that and how to graphically represent information,
Yes, because you are a graphic designer.
Yeah, I'm a graphic designer, brand designer, just designer in many ways.
Yes. And we already, previous to this, talked a little bit about how important it is to make data and complicated things easier to understand with graphics, because this is a very shiny and big title that I have a lot of problems pronunciating. Data visualization. Yeah. It's this big title, but it's really breaking down complicated information, right?
Exactly. Every day we just came face to face with really many different kind of information, and sometimes it's really complicated information. Sometimes it's really easy to understand, but there's a lot of this is where graphic design comes to save this information per se and make it a bit more understandable, more better to understand, and just find a different way to show it.
Wonderful. Before we jump into your presentation or your project, what you're going to show us, there's so many people from Italy, we have the UK, Richard, Liverpool, London, Cambridge, a lot of UK people, also Germany, Chicago. What time is it in Chicago? I have no time difference, time zones. My brain cannot handle them.
Or really early in the morning, maybe.
Yeah. Yes, please let us know what time it is in Chicago. So we're gonna jump into Illustrator. That's the app you're using.
Yeah, we're gonna do this in Illustrator.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about why you are drawn to data visualization and what is important to you about it. And also, what is the exact example that you're going to show us today? Because I know it's going to be a little bit complicated, at least for my simple brain when it comes to physics and the universe, but it's going to be a little bit even mind-blowing, I think. I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah, I hope it's a bit mind-blowing for the people who's watching. But I think that's the point. I want to take some kind of complex information, some complex idea, and try to make it graphically simple and really understandable. I think that's the end, and I hope that's the end of this. And so, for this presentation, I chose this topic, which is it's a weird title. It's the extent of human radio broadcasts in the universe, which I try to explain, which means humans, they've been using radio for over a century already.
Like simple radio, what we listen to in the car.
Yeah, where you listen to the songs, to the, yeah, they've been using them for over a century already. So all those waves, all those signals from the radio, they just keep, basically they escape the planet and they go to the universe, and they just keep going and going farther and farther and farther from the Earth. Yeah. Nothing's gonna stop them, and they travel really fast. Technically, like in theory, they travel at the speed of light, which is really, 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 really fast. And
yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to take this topic and try to simplify it some way in this project. And
I think you made just to like, for people to understand, I think when you explained it to me, you made the reference of the stone falling into the water.
Yeah, that's a simple. Yeah, exactly. Like, let's take if we compare the Milky Way as a huge, giant lake, and you throw a tiny little rock to the lake, it's gonna you see these kind of circles that just keep expanding through the water. That's a good way to compare like those kind of signals just expanding through the universe. And in this case, in this project that I'm gonna show you here today, I want to compare the size of those signals to the size of the Milky Way, because both are huge. Like the Milky Way is giant, and the signals are also quite big. But how big? Like, it's a really cool thing. Like how big, how far is far, and how big is big. Like this. Yeah. These are really.
Those are numbers we can't even. I mean.
Yeah. So exactly. So I was doing for this. I did a bit of research, and I found that these radio signals, the first radio signals that humans created, they are already as far as 200 light years from the Earth. Like the diameter, like the expansion is more than 200 light years, which is a really huge number. You know? And so
just one question before we go further. How did you start with the research? Is that something because you're generally interested in topics like that, or were you just like stumbling upon it, or how did you come up with the idea?
I think I just maybe one day I was reading something about it, and it just stayed with me. Like it's really cool sometimes to just think about how big things are and how small sometimes things are here down here. So it's a cool perspective, and it kind of like put things in perspective in many ways. And it's really cool. Like, to look to the sky and see the little stars there and the moon or whatever, and we think like, oh my God, that's so far, but like, is it really so far? I mean, like
in relation to something else.
Well, I mean, like, there's so much more in that dark sky, like you can keep going there forever, and there's a lot of like really mind-blowing information and like mind-blowing like numbers that you just it's really cool. So that's why I chose this topic, and I thought there's something cool that we can do with this, and so
I'm excited.
For this project I did a bit of research on these numbers and this kind of distance and sizes and all these things, and so we can start a bit with this. So I have this kind of presentation when I just explain which is what we just talked about, the extension of the human radio broadcasts in the universe, in the Milky Way. So I want to compare these with the size of the Milky Way, which like, let's see how, because we think 200 light years, oh my God, that's so big. Like, okay, let's see if it's really that big at the end of the day in the scale of the universe.
It's like something, I mean, that is, for me, when we talked about it, it's impossible to even, those are numbers and sizes that I have no clue what is big, what is small, is that far, is that not? So I think it's really amazing to use design to put these extremely complex topics into a very, like, even easy to understand. You're going to look at the final product that you guys going to see later. I already saw it quickly. You're going to see it and you're going to immediately know the proportion of things with one look. You know?
Yeah, we're gonna bring this kind of huge numbers and everything, or huge distances and stuff like that. We're gonna bring into to a size of a poster. Yeah. The end result for this case, we're gonna do some kind of poster layout with the graphic that we're gonna create here and the information that we have here.
Yes.
So once we have defined what we want to represent, then I usually start doing some research how to visualize that, like how to put it into some kind of graphic way. And so like I brainstorm, and sometimes I do mood boards, and I look for references and things that I can relate to that and put it into a graphic.
Yeah.
So I was thinking how to represent that. So I was just taking like radio, waves, signals, galaxy, spirals. The Milky Way is a huge spiral. So I was just going through all these different kind of ideas and these kind of different topics. So I decided, okay, why not to choose the radio? You know, if we're gonna talk about radio waves, and we'll just focus on this, like.
Yeah.
So I was thinking the other day, I was just remembering like what could be a cool way to just do with radio. What's there that's iconic and was something that I can use for this case. So I remember I watched this documentary a few months ago during the lockdown, and but it was a really cool documentary about this German industrial designer that is called Dieter Rams. If you don't know him, I really recommend just to go to Google, just search for about him. I think if you are really interested in design, whatever it is, like graphic design, industrial design, fashion design, anything, it's really cool to know about this guy, because a lot of products and things that we use today comes from the work of this designer.
Yeah.
He took a lot of elements and simplified them to create really iconic products. He's famous because he worked for this German company called Braun.
Yes.
Which I think is quite famous. There's a lot of products now and a lot of people know it.
Yes.
So yeah, I remember watching the documentary and all the work that he did before, and how timeless it is. Like, even if a lot of his work was done during the 50s and 60s, still today, like, you can see a lot of his work represented in more modern products, per se. So I kind of just like, okay, this is a cool idea. And I realized the guy, he has the radio he designed it back in the 60s, which is so simple and so iconic.
Yeah.
So and so I was thinking, like, what I was really like interested in this kind of pattern in the speaker of the radio, because it's really iconic. Like, everybody knows that, you know, like, you can see this pattern and you can see, like, that's a speaker for the radio. Like, you just have this kind of connection with that. And okay, and so I was thinking, let's take this pattern and try to start from there, you know?
Yes.
To represent the information that I want to represent. And I have this.
Also, someone in the chat said that there's a documentary in BBC4 that is probably still available on YouTube about Dieter Rams.
There's a lot of information online about him.
And you have the documentary there too. Great.
Well, the name is called, it's just Rams.
Oh.
but I think you can watch it online. You have to pay and everything, but it's worth to pay the little fee. It's worth watching it and understanding how this guy created all these things and how the way he thinks about design and how people can be affected in a positive, in a good way with design, and just through all this kind of the world of design. It's not just graphic or product design, it's everything. Yeah. So I wanted to take this pattern, and so I took it and I started looking at it, and I just like, what is it that is this pattern is so pleasant? Like it's you look at this group of dots and it's just like, they look nice. They don't look unbalanced. It doesn't look unbalanced. It looks balanced. It looks like it has some kind of like nice structure to it. So I wanted to, I just out of curiosity, I wanted to start going deep into this kind of things. And yeah, so I created these 3 different patterns here.
Yeah.
So
if you look at them for too long, you get a bit dizzy, I feel like. If I look at them for a really long time, I'm going to get really...
Yeah, so some of them, they can be. So I was studying this pattern and like, why is it that this one is so well balanced? The one that he used in these designs.
Yeah.
And so I went kind of deeply into this, and I kind of started realizing that, you know, like there's all these, he's using these rings of dots, and there's like, so I created these 3 different patterns. They are different. The one that he's using in the radio is the last one, and these 2 are like 2 different options that I did just to compare and see what's the difference. And these numbers down here are just the number of dots in each of the circles.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you're going to show us later how you do them, because
I think this is just an example.
That's just an example, yes, because I think people are like, are we going to learn how to do this? We're going to learn how to do this later. Yeah.
So I was just explaining how this pattern works and why. So like, is it like there's a lot of thought into this kind of simple things.
Yeah.
And we don't realize, like, when we see it, we don't really think about it. But I think that's the positive thing. Like when you just, it's good. Like you don't get a lot of, when you see something, it's pleasing to see it. It's not like it's not bothering you, you know?
Yeah. No, I think it's really important to show that something that looks so simple and easy has so much thought that went into this, and probably a lot of trial and error too. Like it's very, very hard to achieve that, and a lot of work goes into it. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So go quickly with this. Like, if we take the first one is just shaped with 6. It's like how do you call those ones? Like 6, like a number 6 pattern.
Yeah, you add 6 each time,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So this is the pattern that you get when you do each, like the first circle is 6, then 12, then 18, and so on.
What happens then is you don't get the straight line through the middle, right?
Yeah. I have this kind of here, like it's a bit more like to explain visually what's happening in these patterns.
Yeah.
So this is the last one is the one that we're using, the one that Rams created. And so you can see in the first one, that is the one of 6, and 12, and the sequence of 6.
Yeah.
What happens here is like you have this kind of diagonal kind of focus, which it looks nice, but it creates this kind of I don't know how to explain this. It's like a X pattern.
Errors. Yeah.
Yeah. The one in the middle is like a middle point between these 2, but still it's not. Still, you have a bit of the X pattern, and it doesn't really balance that well.
Yeah.
So what I find out is like when he was creating this pattern, he tried to balance a lot the horizontal and vertical lines. So when you see the whole pattern, it looks quite balanced.
Yeah.
And here we can see why. Because there's this, you can see the lines in the middle and the other one in the vertical. It create the whole thing just balance itself really well. And how did he? I guess he did that by trial and error. He was.
I guess. I mean.
Yeah, there's a lot of you can create different patterns here. You can just create, not with 6. You can create a sequence of the number 8 and so on. You can do a lot of things here. So the one he created is with these numbers: 1, 6, 12, 20, 24, 32, and 40. And
which is not a very even sequence.
It's not.
It's
not. But that's why that's the work behind this.
Yeah.
You don't come with these numbers just because. There's a lot of study visually, and you have to study the pattern, see what looks more balanced and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how this pattern came to be. And yeah, there's a lot that goes into this, and even more back then when the computers they didn't exist like today,
Yeah.
So everything was.
They didn't just have Illustrator and just played around with it, changed some distances, moved it. Yeah, that was different times. I have no idea how long it took to finish a design like that. And then also have it to have a practical use, because that was the speaker, right? That was on an item that people used and saw every day. So it also had to have something working with the sound, I assume. So it's not just how it looks, but also how it works. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So it's also it has a functionality behind it. It's not just the looks.
Yeah.
And everything has to go together, so it works better. And the final product has a really good functionality and a really good design as well. So that's how there's a lot of work in everything here.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was just me trying to explain how this works and all the
how something that looks so simple is actually quite complicated.
Yes. There's a lot of thought behind all these things.
Yeah.
So after I choose, I want to represent the information that I want to represent. I want to use this kind of radio related object. So I choose it, and so I start thinking more about the numbers itself. And if each dot represents 200 light years, I would need 975 dots to represent 195,000 light years, which is the estimated diameter of the Milky Way, which is mind-blowing. It's really hard to imagine.
Yeah.
How big
For me, it's just numbers, and I'm nodding my head, but it's I don't know how, once again, if that is, I assume it's incredibly out of my mind, huge.
It is.
And
this is just a number. This is just an estimated. This is not the final number. This is still people who works researching the universe. They are still trying to decide if this is okay. Because some people say that is bigger, that is way bigger than this.
Yeah.
But it's hard to know. We are just humans in a tiny planet trying to investigate everything outside.
Exactly.
So yeah. So I wanted to take the numbers, the numbers that we saw before, and just continue the same pattern. And this case, the pattern continues 8 every time I add 8 to the next number.
Okay, so first it does 6, and then it adds 8 at some point, right? Jumps to 8.
The first 6 numbers are the same pattern that we saw here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to overcomplicate this, just to make it easier to understand. What I did after the 40 is just to add 8, and then add 8, and so on.
Yeah.
Until I got to 120. And if I add all these numbers, I get 975, which is the number of dots that I want to use to represent this big number here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
okay, just to put it back in perspective, we're gonna show one radio wave in the
dot.
size of it, basically in proportion to the Milky Way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Each dot in this, each dot that we're gonna create using this, each one of these dots is gonna represent 200 light years, which is the distance that the radio waves have traveled outside the Earth, which is really long, like really far away. But let's see how far away it is compared to the Milky Way.
Exactly. Okay, just to like, so people can follow along what we're doing.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna show us how you do these kind of.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna show how to create this pattern with the dots.
Cool. Yes.
And it's a bit tricky too. There's a lot of mathematics involved, but then it's like I think it's like a cool thing because, you know, design. I like when I'm designing something that has a reason behind it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not just random things. I like to design things that have some kind of justification and some kind of reason to be.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think that's just a really important also like message for how many things you can use design. Obviously, design can be something where you just make something pretty or advertise something, but design has so many purposes and can like help people learn. It can make lives easier and has so many purposes behind it. So I think it's really cool also in this project to like combine very complex like universe topics to then use design with them. Yeah,
it's really cool. So the next step I did is I took like for each number that I have here, I created I did a ring, a circle. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't know how many numbers are here. I don't remember. I think there's 16 or something like that. So I created 16 rings here.
Yeah.
And for the sake of this exercise, what I did is just the first one is 100 pixels.
Yeah.
And then the next one is 100 pixels bigger, and so on.
That the distance is the same.
The diameter, yeah, exactly. So they look balanced, and the distance is the same between them.
Okay. Because I'm a photographer and I like full disclosure don't know how to use Illustrator. So you just like create a circle or you do it and you type in the 100 pixels. Do you just draw it or you just?
I use the tool
just for me to learn.
Ellipse tool.
Yeah.
And what I do is just create a circle and I just put here 100 pixels.
Oh, and so that it is even, you hold the shift key. Is that what you do?
Yeah.
So when that it is the circle?
If it's even, I hold shift and then it's
so it doesn't turn into weird circles?
No,
okay.
Which is, no. I mean, for our project, we might need some kind of uneven circle. But
exactly. But to have it even, you hold the shift key, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, so, I know stuff in Illustrator.
Yeah, it's, okay, with
cool.
Simple things we can create, with simple things we can create a bit more complex things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we can go back to the big circle. I just wanted to make sure I can follow along how it's done.
So yeah, I can just show a bit this step here. Like if I have this one that is 100 pixels and then I want to create the next.
Yeah.
The way I do it, I'm sure there's many ways of doing it. Like each person has a different way. I just copy paste it and I just copy and then I go edit paste in place. So, and then I just change shift to 100 and then I have that one. So
yes.
I do, and then I copy paste this one and I add 100 more pixels and so on until I have the rings that I want here.
Okay, cool. Yes. I think it's so, because I feel the same every time I show something or I edit a photo or something, and I'm always doing the excuse of, I think there might be another way to do it, but I've been doing it like this for so long. I talked about it with Juliet last time, where she's like, I've been doing stuff like this for so long. Maybe there's a better way. But I think
there's shortcuts.
Whatever works for you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like this. That's the cool thing about Illustrator or Photoshop, all the Adobe tools. Like you have many ways to do the same. You know, it doesn't like this is, you have your own way to create whatever you want, and other person have a different way. It just works for you, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So we have here all the rings, all the circles, and now what we want to do is to add the dots to each one.
Yes.
So that's why I have these numbers here. Like the first, we have number 1, which is just the dot in the middle. Like that's one dot, of course.
That's kind of the easy one, I guess.
It's really easy to and in this case, we're using 20 pixels of the diameter of the dot. So the next one is going to have 6 dots around it.
Yeah.
And the next one is going to have 12 and 20 and so on. And the last one, the biggest one, is going to have 120. This is a bit tricky, but it's worth explaining. How to know, how to create, like how to know how many dots is going to have the circle. And so I have all these lists here. People want to follow it. Like it's a bit tricky, but it's really worth paying a bit of like attention to this, because that's how you you know that you're doing the right thing. So we have the 6, for example, for the first one, 6 dots circle, which is the 100 pixels diameter circle here. So so we need to calculate the circumference of the circle. There's a formula for that, mathematical, geometrical formula. We don't need to know it. We just go to Google and just put.
We're trying not to make it more complicated than it already is, because someone was already asking in the chat if we are, where's the question? Why can I not? I have to look the question. We're infographing the solar system. We're not infographing the solar system. We're trying to explain.
We are infographic something bigger than the solar system, basically.
Okay, I let you explain, because I'm scared that I'm going to say something that's not right.
Well, we're trying to infographic the Milky, the Milky Way.
The Milky Way size.
Yeah, and the size of the radio waves. Like to put
in these proportions.
Yeah, we just want to put in perspective, like how big things are out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
can understand why people get confused with the circles if we're doing the solar system, because that might as well be used to show the solar system.
Yeah, we can use this same to show the size of to compare the size of the solar system with something else.
Yeah, which is a good thing, so people can learn from what you're doing to maybe take something else and put it into perspective, or show something visually. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
So, talking about how to create the dots here.
Yes.
So we have this formula here.
Yeah.
Which is a bit complicated, but once you start doing it, it's not that complicated. Like it looks more complicated than it is.
Okay.
So we were talking about how to create the first one with 6 dots.
Yes.
So we need to create 6 dots around this circle. So we have a diameter, which is 100 pixels. The circumference of the 100 pixels is if you take this circle and you put it in a straight line.
Yeah.
If you open the circle and you put it in a straight line, how long is the line?
Yeah.
So in this case, it's 314.159 pixels. If you put the circle and you open it in a straight line.
Yeah, that is just, we can put that in Google and that will tell us, right? That's what you said.
You can go to Google, like circumference calculator.
Yeah.
And you have it there. It's really easy. So we need to figure out what is the gap, like the gap between
between each dot.
Yeah, that's the magic number here.
Okay.
That's the magic number that we need to know. So in this case, it's 52.36. So we select the circle, the first one. And we go to strokes.
Yeah.
And what we do here is just we click in dashed line. All right. So we're gonna create it's basically a dashed line.
Yeah.
Circles.
Yeah.
Let's put 20 pixels here, because 20 pixels is the diameter of the dots that we're creating. We have here.
Yeah.
So we put the number is already there. Yeah. So we put the number is 52.36.
Put that where it says gap.
Yeah.
And then it's done. And
also something really important we need to select here, the round cup.
Yeah. What is that?
So that creates the little dot. It's a kind of it's a trick here to create dot line with circles, because we can just create it with, like, if we change the dash to let's say 21. So we create like a different kind of dash that is not rounded. It's just with lines. And we put the gap, let's say we put the gap 10. Oh, sorry, I didn't select it. And so what happened is that we have a dash line. And in this case, we need dots. It's a bit of a trick here. This is like a shortcut to create like a dot lines.
Yes.
Using this one here. This is really important. Like we need to click on round cap. Selected and round cap.
Yeah.
Because in this case, we know we're not going to have a dash.
Yeah.
We're just having a dot. So we just put 0 in dash.
Yes.
And in the gap.
And the gap.
The magic number that we have here, the 52.36.
Because honestly, I thought you have to make all these dots yourself as a complete noob in Illustrator.
No, that will take so much time, and that will take a lot of. That will take a lot of time and like to be really precise. Like, but this is the cool thing about this. It's a really simple tool, but you can create like really cool things. It's like, So there we have 6 dots. This like, and then we select the next one, which is the 200 pixels diameter circle.
Yeah.
And we want 12 dots.
Yeah.
So we do the same calculation with the circumference.
Yeah.
And then we divide.
Actually, the same number.
Yeah, because it's still 6. It's
oh,
6,
true.
Like things get a bit tricky when it's not.
It's not 6 anymore.
Yeah. So we just the same. We just select that dash line. Sorry, and just remember to select the round cap and 20 pixels of width of the line. So the dot are 20 pixels in diameter. And there you have it. Like we can count it if you want, but there's 20. There has to be 20 dots there. And we do the same with each one of them.
Yeah.
And I have all the numbers here if people want to try it.
Yeah.
So the next one is 20 dots.
I think we have to skip to your next drawing, otherwise we're gonna take a bit too long. Because I think you already did all of those, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we just put like for each ring there's a number, and then we have the dots, and this happens. This is the
final product.
The final result when we put all the numbers in here, and then people like we can count them, but we don't have time. Like the last one,
because we like have roughly 10 more minutes. But if you want to start counting now,
we can spend 10 minutes counting them. So the last one has 120 dots.
Yeah.
And but that's why we do these calculations, so we know that it's correct. So when I have all these.
Here, Jackie asked, did Camilo do all the math to get the dots even? And I think we can like jump.
I have all the papers here with the maths. It's cool when you do these kind of things and they kind of show up in a graphic.
Yeah.
And they are correct. It's really cool.
Yeah.
And so here we have the 975 dots. Yeah. Which is the one what we want. So now we have everything. All this, everything here is still like an outline.
Yeah.
Except the first one. The first one is a normal circle, but all the rings are still like an outline, as we can see here. So what I want to do next is to convert all these outlines into normal paths. So what I do is I select all the outlines. Mm-hmm. I go to Object and click on Expand. This is what we click to fill and to expand the fill and the stroke. Now we have the stroke disappears, and what we have is each dot as like a separate path.
Okay, so each dot is its individual object now, and it's not connected in a ring anymore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And then we just need to do a right click on group, because everything is grouped together in this step.
Yeah.
So release compound pan, because everything is still grouped, and then we have each dot.
Yeah.
we can just move it or change the color or do whatever we want.
I'm very mind blown, but I think I'm probably also very easy to impress with Illustrator. It's so many things. Yeah, okay, that is super cool. So what you just did were like you took the circles and made every dot an individual thing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I can follow that.
Because then I can modify the color easier. I
Yes.
can, if I want to do some changes, I can do it way
Yeah.
easier because
Yeah.
I don't have a stroke, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's easier. This is
Someone
the
says,
steps.
and then accidentally move one. Yeah. And then,
and then you have just command.
yeah.
You have to just
You
go
have to
back.
go command back, command Z.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the steps that I just did here. Like, and what we have here is now everything is a path. So
Yeah.
like for the graphic that I wanted to create, what I did is, by the way, these proportions here,
Yeah.
these are just like a poster proportions. Like
Yeah. It's A3, I guess, probably, or something like that.
in centimeters it's 50, 70. In pixels it will be like 1,000, 1,400.
Yeah.
It's the same proportions. And
I probably want that poster after this is done. I think I want to get it printed.
we can talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, please. We can negotiate.
So exactly what I did here is now I took this part, like the graphic that we have here, and I just basically changed the color of the pattern. And what I did is just put the outline as a black color of each dot.
Yeah.
This is just the color palette that I choose for this. It's like a really kind of simple, like a cream, orange, and like a black color. Just really kind of mechanical kind of colors. They look nice together. Also, I created these guidelines to have like a 4 columns. This is for me to organize the text and the information that I want to put here, and just to have everything a bit more organized.
Yeah.
So what I did here is I select one of the dots and make the dot orange, which is the dot that is going to represent the 200 light years expansion of the radio signals.
Also, real quick, because I know it's a cool answer, why did you choose orange? Why is the dot orange?
Because if you guys go to Google and you Google the designer that we were talking earlier, the
Dieter
Rams,
Dieter Rams.
a lot of his products have this kind of orange highlights. They are tiny. It might be just one button or one little thing that is orange, and it kind of looks really nice because it creates like a really cool balance, you know, because everything else is white and then you have this little orange thing there. It creates a really cool, like visually nice product.
Yeah.
So basically that's why also I took these colors, like following the same kind of inspiration from
And I think you also told me, I mean, everyone can check that, but that the calculator on the iPhone also has the orange, like an orange button, which is probably also inspired by
a lot of
Dieter Rams designs, right?
A lot of the products from Apple, they're inspired by what he did. A lot, like the iPhone, the iPod, the iMac. There's a lot of inspiration taken from Rams. So okay, here I selected one dot and made it orange to represent the 200 light years, like radio signals. And here we have like basically the final design. I can just erase the guidelines.
Yes.
So we have here. So what I did is put here in top just the 2 main points of information.
Yeah.
Which is the orange dot represents the human radio signals, like going outside for 200 light years, and then we have the black dots that are the Milky Way, basically.
Yeah.
So
and it basically shows us that a number that we thought was extremely big is extremely tiny in comparison to the Milky Way.
And and then down here I just added a bit more of information so people can understand a bit more what we're talking about, and just each dot represents 200 light years. Radio signals travel at the speed of light,
Yeah.
The speed of light is this 300,000 kilometers per second. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Milky Way has over 200 billion stars. Just the Milky Way, which is mind-blowing. So this is basically the final result for this project, like a poster layout, some kind of infographic, some kind of graphic, visualizing these two like information points.
My mind is blown. I hope some of you also are a bit mind blown, because I think it's so impressive. First of all, I think it looks really good. I really like the poster. Like, honestly, I would absolutely hang this in my apartment. I really like how simple it is, how you can use something like dots. It's just like one graphic item to make something so complex, so also pleasing to look at. And also it's a bit, like I said, when you look at it for a long time, you feel like they're shooting at you or something. Like, it's very it's crazy.
I want to show you one last thing before we finish here. So we have the orange dot, who represents 200 light years. The expansion of these radio signals. So I did this thing to compare like how big is the solar system compared to the radio signals. But this is just me trying to. So if we zoom in, I created this little blue dot in the middle. You can see it, right?
Yeah.
That little blue dot represents the size of the solar system compared to this 200 light years expansion of the. So this is like the real scale. It's really tiny. So if we zoom in more, like, you have to imagine that in this dot we have the sun, we have all the planets.
Yeah, and where are we? We're like, we have to zoom, and we can't even zoom in so far. I guess
that's the maximum zoom. So if we zoom out, it just disappears.
That is amazing. I feel like this is like physics lesson with graphic design. It's so many information coming in at once. It's amazing.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Thank you so much. That was I'm very interested. I'm absolutely going to look up Dieter Rams now.
Yeah.
I hope all of you enjoyed that as well. Thank you so much. Thank you. It was incredible. I'm really still a bit not in shock. That would be way too much, but I'm like really impressed by what you just showed us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes, and people can check out more of your work on your website if they want to see more of stuff you've done.
Yeah.
You do really cool designs and graphics. We've worked together in the past, and I really enjoy whatever you do. Turns out incredible. So I really recommend people checking out what Camilo does. He's a graphic designer from Colombia. Actually, I think we forgot to mention that you're from Colombia and living in Finland. Yeah. So he is amazing. Please follow him on social media and go check out his website. And we're going to be here next week again at the same time. So 12 for UK time. It's 1 p.m. German time. And next week I'm gonna talk to a photographer. Their name is Cora. They have really cool stuff. They have really cool photography projects. They founded their own agency here in Berlin. So we're gonna talk a lot more about that. And there are a lot more cool live streams coming. So stick around. I hope I see some of you next week. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And I see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.